Now joining us is legal analyst Jack Ford and psychotherapist Robi Ludwig to talk about this. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
It's good to see you. Now, what we were trying to say in that piece is, of course, that the petition has been filed by Bristol Palin to get full custody of Tripp and wanted to keep those records sealed or secret. The judge ruled, no, we're going to make them public. Why, Jack?
Well, not a surprise that she says, I want full custody. And really not a surprise that the judge is saying, we're not going to shut this down. You know, generally speaking, in our court system, we say things should be played out in the public, that we should know. We should have public trials. Now, there are exceptions, obviously. If you see a situation, for instance, with an adoption, oftentimes the adoption records are going to be sealed because people want it that way and because the law says it's important. Let a child grow up at some point in time if they want to find out who the parent is, that's fine. But here, because they're arguing it would be an embarrassment perhaps to the child when the child grows up, the judge said, and I think quite rightly, the judge said that's not enough for us to say, let's shut this whole thing down, just because a child might be embarrassed down the road. To get something sealed like that, you have to be able to convince a judge that there's a real and compelling reason to do it, not that there might be a reason, other than embarrassment or discomfort on the part of people to get it out there.
And continue on the legal vein, what will the judge be considering when he hears the petition for custody? We got two teenage parents here.
Yeah, you know, good question, Debbie. The magic words are what's in the best interest of the child when you start talking about custody. Now, things have changed over the years. Used to be there was a presumption that the mother got the child, unless there was something extraordinarily wrong with the mother. That's changed. Now the courts are told, take a look at both sides, and the standards are essentially, what are the needs of the child? What sort of capacity does each of the parents have to fulfill those needs? What sort of surroundings do they have? Has the child been with one now for a while and not the other? So those are all the things the judge is going to look at, but judges always have the ability to say, maybe I'll make a ruling right now, but I'll also allow you to come back and revisit this down the road, especially, as you said, they're 19-year-old kids.
See if anything has changed. And of course, Jack, you talked about the central theme is the best interest of the child, Robi.
Right, that's what's key
What's
here.
going to do more damage, to have these records made public now, or for this to become ugly, as we're afraid that it will become later on?
Well, I guess the question is, if it's open, will that get people to censor what they're saying? You know, if you know that people are going to be reading what you're saying and evaluating it, maybe you'll think twice before you say something that's really negative about your grandchild's father. Because you really have to, instead of worrying about who's right, do what's right for the best interest for the child, because ultimately the child really wants to love both their parents, and they don't want to have to take sides. And if you force a child to do that, that's really unhealthy and really unfair.
We're really talking about ramifications down the road, though, because there's not really any imminent harm to this one-year-old right now, is there?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, a child can feel what's going on, even though they don't verbally have a way to express it. If there's a lot of anger going on, and if for some reason it's difficult for the father to have access or to feel comfortable in the home, that can affect a child. I mean, a child responds to all different kinds of stimuli and emotions. And, you know, what you want to do is you want to really, it's like an emotional divorce that's going on right now. And so you really, I think we really need to get to the root of the issue. And I don't think the root of the issue is really being dealt with here.
I want to go back to sort of a legal side. There is a famous grandparent, Sarah Palin, and an infamous grandparent, the mother of Levi Johnston. Will they play a role in this proceeding?
Well, certainly play a role, because you're talking about 19-year-olds who are not emancipated. They're not out on their own making a living. They don't have homes. They're not settled in. So one of those factors that the judge will look at is the surroundings, who provides a nurturing surrounding. And right now, I'm sure that Levi Johnston's mother, who's doing a jail term, is going to have a problem with that. Sarah Palin, they say she's come into a lot of money lately. We can do this. But what's interesting is it's sounding like, and Robi said this, it's almost sounding like a bad divorce argument between Levi Johnston and Sarah Palin, which is, you know, hopefully the judge is going to step in and say, this is not what we're all about.
I mean,
here.
ideally what would happen is maybe Sarah could say, listen, I have an issue with you talking about me in public, and please don't do that anymore. And then maybe they could come to terms with custody in a different kind of way.
I'm sure there's going to be much more to say about this. Jack Ford, Robi Ludwig, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.